Welcome to another episode of MicroShiner's Life Distilled. I'm Brian Carey. I'm here at Bear Creek Distillery in Denver, Colorado with Jay and my good friend from college, Katey Selix. So, awesome. So, how are you guys doing?
I'm great.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay, cool. Jay, we just wrapped up the ADI conference, and you won some medals there. You want to talk about it?
We did pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, we took home a silver for a cask strength rum, also for our rye vodka, and another one that I don't remember off the top of my head.
Awesome.
But the big one was we got a gold medal for our straight bourbon.
Awesome, and that's what we're drinking right here.
That is what you got there. First gold medal for our bourbon, so we're pretty stoked about that.
Okay.
That what you have there is a 3-year-old product. It's a blend of 4 barrels. So all of those barrels are at least 3 years old.
Okay.
So the age statement on our bottle is, I should probably have a bottle of that up here.
Yeah, you want to go grab one?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Is it okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you're good. This is connected to you, so you're good.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. I'll be right back.
Absolutely. And we're back, and there's bourbon in front of us now.
Yay.
So, we were just talking about how Jay is wirelessly lobbed up with the microphone, so it's always fun when people walk away and they don't really realize they're still being
recorded and
listened to. So
luckily, it was all good stuff.
All good stuff.
That's good. That's all that matters. But you'd be surprised sometimes when I'm still monitoring audio what people have to say, or maybe they're going to the bathroom, they forget about their mic.
Whoa.
So yeah, it's pretty
Candid
funny.
moments.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you were just talking, you were doing Letterkenny quotes?
Letterkenny.
Yeah.
We are Letterkenny freaks.
I love it.
You know, that shit is so funny. It started off as a YouTube series,
Yeah.
and now it's on
I
Netflix,
didn't know that.
I believe.
Did it really?
Yeah.
It's on Hulu.
Yeah, it's on Hulu?
It is. It is, in my opinion, I love comedy. I just like being goofy, and it's one of the most well-written shows I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it is
mentioned, I'm a
great.
big hockey fan, and
Yeah.
I love Canadians. They're just
Who doesn't, right?
right.
I've never met a Canadian that I wasn't like, you're a cool dude.
Exactly.
I just love Canada.
They're great.
Yeah.
They work
Yeah.
hard. They play harder.
Mm-hmm.
They like to fight.
Right?
Yeah, it's good stuff.
They play hockey. They like to
play
fight.
hockey.
They
Yeah,
say
yeah.
A.
They drink.
Yep. Exactly.
They still smoke darts.
Yeah.
It's great.
Okay, so there's the whiskey in front of us now.
So this is it. So
Okay.
we set out to make bourbon, 6 years ago.
Right.
So we did our build out, and then we made some rum, and we made some vodka, and then we started putting bourbon in barrels. So this particular batch, which is batch number 6, is all 3-year-old barrels in that blend.
Okay.
75% corn, 15% rye, 10% malted barley.
Okay.
53-gallon barrels in that guy. So our next batch will be all 4-year-old bourbon. All bourbon barrels in that batch will be 4 years old. So
Okay.
that's kind of a benchmark in distilling.
Right.
At that point,
Okay.
you don't even need an age statement on your label, because if you have no age statement on your label, it's industry standard that it's at least 4 years old.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I didn't realize that. That's interesting.
So it's that was kind of a
Yeah.
nice finish line. There's never really a finish line in this game, but
Okay.
that's like a nice mile marker, I guess would be a better term for it.
Okay. Very cool.
So we won a gold medal on that one, so we were totally stoked on that. We also do a wheated bourbon, which I actually prefer. My palate likes the wheated bourbon.
Yeah.
But this is the flagship. This is what we always set out to make.
Okay. No, that's it's bitchin'. It's really good.
Yeah, it is. It's really, really good.
It deserves that gold.
Thank you.
You know.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay, so talk about let's hear more about your history and why start a distillery, and let's go into your backstory a little more.
Okay, cool. So it started as sort of a passion project with my founding business partners and myself. It really genuinely started over some beers, So we had several meetings like, hey, is this something we could...
As all great businesses start.
Exactly. Is this
Usually
something that we
there's
could
something
do,
involved.
And I was in business with my father-in-law. We owned a pest control company. So my joke that everyone is totally sick of hearing by now is that now I'm just poisoning on a different level. So
And humans, not just bugs or anything.
right, yeah, no, right,
That's great.
exactly.
I think it's a fantastic, yes.
So we're doing that transition. So it was, that was really difficult because I was 40 years old. I had a daughter that was almost ready to go to college, and telling my wife that I was going to quit the family business that I was going to inherit, take every bit of, basically jump off a cliff with some guys that she knew growing up as well.
She was like, I don't feel confident.
Right. She's like, you guys are doing what now? So literally these talks about, hey, we looked at maybe doing a brewery, and we are in Denver, and there was some fleeting conversation about maybe starting a grow, or opening a dispensary.
As you do.
Right.
Right.
Colorado, you can get all of your vices taken care of, even right here on Broadway.
Yeah, I was gonna say, even on the street.
Right where we are, you can buy a car, some
antiques,
pick up a bottle of whiskey, and then go get a couple of Willie's joints.
Yeah.
Right at the Kind Room across
Go
the
get
street.
an 8.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
No problem.
And
Ready to
I
rock
know
and roll.
there's a few strip clubs
Knock
nearby
them all
too.
down at once.
Yeah, this is a great neighborhood. Not to be discouraged, folks. It's totally safe.
Yeah, right. No, it is. This is a really cool part of town. We were driving past. There's like an old woodworking shop, I think, right down the road.
Made out
That's
of all,
really cool.
Yeah,
That place is awesome.
Yeah.
There's a brewery around the corner.
Right.
So when we're sort of bouncing around, but when we actually first started our build out and we'd take trash outside to the dumpster, we would go in twos because we literally would step over housing challenged.
Oh, wow.
Folks. So
oh, wow, really?
we have an awning out back, and it's just sort of safe for the elements. And sort of in a sidebar, the first night that we closed on our building, we got a call from the fire department because some fellas were out in back having a party and lit a couch on fire.
Oh, bummer.
And our awning, all the infrastructure to our awning is made out of wood, and the
Oh,
awning
shit.
itself is made out of tin. So thank goodness that didn't catch on fire.
Right.
But our building, the day we bought it, was literally on fire.
Oh my God.
And I could show you guys out back, but there's literally an outline of where the couch burned
Oh, wow.
to the concrete. So
Like a forensic drawing.
Yeah,
It's
it is.
like, this is where the event occurred.
exactly. So these conversations turned into monthly sort of information. We'd all task each other with different. Okay, you check into this, and you check into this, and we'd sort of come together. And those monthly meetings turned into weekly meetings. We bought a building.
Yeah.
So rad.
Jeff, my business partner, and our head distiller, he had gone up to Peach Street. And congrats to those guys. They won a gold medal for their smoked rye as well. And did their tour. And then that's when it sort of got real at that point. So we owned this building, and then we started the arduous task of the permitting process through the city of Denver.
Right.
And not to get into that too much, but it took a year and a half
I was
before
going
we
to say, it
could
was
even.
pretty intense, right?
Yeah, it's before we could even start doing any demo on the building. And at that point,
And this was back in what, 2012?
this would have been 13.
2013?
13.
Okay.
Because we incorporated 12/12 of 12,
Okay.
and we
Oh,
chose that.
cute.
We chose that date because that's when we closed on the building, and it's cute.
And it's adorable.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's easy to remember too when you're doing tax work and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
12, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1.
I have to search it up. I have to look up mine all the time. Oh my God, what is it?
I have an idea when it was.
You're like, I think maybe around this time.
So in that time, Jeff had quit his job. I sold my shares to my father-in-law. So essentially, we were unemployed for a little while.
Uh-huh.
And anyone who tells you that being unemployed is cool has never sat around. And,
I know. We're freelance. We
Yeah,
totally get
Yeah,
that.
Exactly.
you understand.
Yeah.
And just the whole thought of, I have a family, mouths to feed.
Right. Well, and you left this like super sure thing, kind of, right?
Yeah, we did the year I left the pest control company. We did almost $1 million in business.
Holy
Wow.
shit, dude.
So we had like 9. So I mean, it was like, I know
Damn.
I was walking away. I knew I was walking away from something that would be sustainable for me for the rest of my life. But then I also knew that I wouldn't have to kill a fucking bed bug again. So it was pretty much
And that
a
you were like
no-brainer.
stoked on doing this.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
So
I love
and,
that.
it's like I get to do so many cool things now that I
Yeah.
never thought I would. It was sort of like, sorry to my father-in-law if he ever hears this, but like I would go to work, turn my brain off, come home, turn my brain back on, and then I would be the real me when I wasn't at work.
Right.
And I've always been sort of a gregarious sort of. I like talking to people, and I did a fair amount of that in my past business. But this totally suits like a lot of the bullet points of like if you were a kid and you're like, what kind of job do you want to have when you're older?
Definitely.
This is like, all right, I've been on TV, check.
Right.
I get to do cool podcasts, check. And you get to introduce people to something that you're passionate about. And
Yeah, I love that.
that part of it is easy, but I will warn, just for reference, we're hosting a rum class downstairs for ADI, and if I really could, I would, in my heart of hearts, tell these people that you really need to think long and hard about what you're about to get into.
Right.
Because you've never worked so hard.
No, yeah.
You sacrifice, your family sacrifices. You better like the people you work with because you're going to spend a whole lot of time with them.
Sure, and like you really better make a commitment that this is something that you really are passionate about and that you want to spend all of your time doing and pouring stuff into. So.
And it becomes your whole life. Like,
oh, sure.
My kids hate it because we'll be at a concert or we'll be at a hockey game or we'll be somewhere and inevitably someone recognizes me from coming into their store or coming in here. And it's almost like I'm certainly no Kanye or Kim Kardashian, but
Right.
They're like, oh, Dad's signing autographs again.
Dad, can you stop? Or like anytime we go out to eat and they don't have Bear Creek, I have to talk to the manager. And
Absolutely.
So it becomes a life. The whole thing encompasses your life.
Sure.
So I just caution newcomers to the business is like, this is really what you want because it's going to be all. It's like someone when your buddy's having a baby and you already have 3 and they're like, can I get some advice? And you're like, don't have one.
Yeah.
But no.
You're like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
don't do it.
No, I need it. Don't do it. No, it's not true. That's the best thing that ever happened to me was becoming a father. I'd be dead now if I didn't have kids and a wife.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, I used to run fast and hard, but
Yeah. No,
that's why I had
It's
a
like
sober
those were the days.
Yep, exactly.
I know, that's still amazing. I'm very impressed.
I don't, honestly, I don't miss those days.
Oh, I don't either.
I mean, it's not sustainable those days.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. Getting married, I'm definitely, I added some years to my life getting married.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Well,
My wife is,
my
she's
wonderful
awesome.
wife, she schedules me a physical every year.
God
Make
bless
sure I go
her.
to the doctor, make sure I'm staying upright so I can keep doing this.
That's the same thing, yeah.
I mean, let's be honest, dudes. You guys need.
Exactly.
You need. Wives
just big
literally serve a
kids.
purpose of just like keeping you alive.
Right.
I mean, honestly.
There's no truer statement.
And
Yep.
yeah,
And I had
So
3
good.
older sisters, and I have 3 daughters.
you have 3 older sisters.
I've been surrounded.
That is
Oh, wow.
interesting.
So that's probably why I'm good at this, because I'm good at talking my way out of like dangerous
And
situations.
you're good at negotiating.
Yeah.
Because of that, though.
My survival instinct
Yeah.
is strong.
You got that. You got a real strong instinct.
So you got to do that. So anyway, to backtrack.
Yeah.
So that time off, as hard as it was and as guilty as you felt, like not having anything to do, it allowed Jeff and I some serious time
Right.
from this idea of, hey, we're opening a distillery to actually figuring out what it was going to take. So certainly we toured everybody in the state, and then Jeff went out to Journeyman in Michigan, and then he spent some time at
awesome.
Koval in Chicago.
Oh, okay, cool.
And actually, that's who we bought our still from.
Okay.
Is the folks at Koval are the American representation for Kota Stills,
Okay.
which is a German company.
Okay.
And so Jeff worked on that and really liked it, so he decided that's sort of what we were going to use.
Okay.
And it's a hybrid still, so
Sure.
you can make pretty much any spirit on there. We pretty much run the gamut here, minus gin. We don't drink gin, so we don't make gin.
Right.
Fair.
We drink what we like to make, what we like to drink.
Yeah.
And a couple things quickly became evident to us in that process. One being that a lot of people don't pay a lot of attention to their tasting rooms. It was, 2013, and literally I would go into some distilleries, beautiful equipment, a nice production area, and they wanted you to sit down and taste their spirit at like a picnic table or
I was gonna say like a
folding
patio furniture.
Yeah. No,
Literally, yeah.
Literally, we saw patio furniture. And it was like, all right, so we're going to spend this much money and dedicate our lives to it. We really want to give people an experience. So our our general contractor, he was also an architect and had an amazing eye for design. So he built out this concept for us. In our tasting room, not to pat ourselves on the back too much, but I really feel like in Denver proper, even in the surrounding areas, we were the first people that really had sort of that cool cocktail.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I was like,
tasting room vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the future. I mean, if you can incorporate like a bar or a really nice tasting room, a place where people can hang out and taste, it gives it more of an experience and you have a good vibe too.
Right.
You leave like, that was a good time. That was a good
I honestly
atmosphere.
hadn't done a lot of like tasting room experiences really until like when I was out in Cali for your wedding, and we went to so many different wineries and things like that, where you did have that experience of them being like, this is what we have, this is what we suggest pairing it with, blah blah blah. Like, but that's just a totally different experience in the entire.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and that's going to be the future. I don't know what the laws are like in Denver, unfortunately, for like off-premise tasting rooms. Are you guys allowed to have them?
To like host tastings?
So-
to have like a tasting room, like just to have like
you were
a
saying like
brick and mortar
outside
downtown.
of the distillery.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the answer is yes.
Yes. Okay.
And no.
Okay.
So as the law stands right now, and the Colorado Distillers Guild, we have some lobbyists working for us to try to change these laws. But as it exists now, we're allowed a total of 2 tasting rooms. So this being one.
This is one,
and then
obviously,
if you chose to have a secondary brick and mortar, that would be 2.
Okay.
So that might limit you a bit, because we do have certain festivals that we can permit to sell bottles at. So essentially, our branded tent becomes an extension of this tasting room, and we can sell bottles from there.
So if you had a second location, that would kind of keep you from doing that.
Got
so
it.
that's kind of a bummer.
The last few summers, I figured out some loopholes and have gotten us into farmers markets, which
awesome.
has been a really great experience for us.
I'm like, which one?
Yeah. So we're at South Pearl.
Okay.
We've been there for this summer will be our 4th summer.
Awesome.
And we've done a couple other ones, but a bunch of other distilleries sort of started catching on to what we were doing.
For sure.
And so they've kind of moved into. So now it's sort of we're balancing the worth of it now. So that might not be a model for us moving forward. But breweries in Colorado have 5, and I think wineries can have up to 7. So what we're trying to do
In Colorado?
In Colorado?
Damn. Okay.
So that 5 would be an interesting, if we could have like a permanent location, say in downtown Littleton, and that's a really cool area, or in Boulder, Estes Park, any of the ski towns, that would be really cool.
Huge, yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
So, but with that comes more headaches of, trying to replicate your cocktail
100%.
program that we have here.
That all the extra
sort
work
of
comes into it.
The feel and the vibe that we have here, Our tasting room is sort of an extension of, if you want to come in and treat this like your living room. Just don't take your shoes off.
Right.
It's like, please don't take your shoes off.
For the first year, almost year and a half, it was Debo, Jeff, and I behind the bar.
Okay.
Oh, that's so
And
rad.
we also made all the booze, and we cleaned it, and I was trying to do outside sales, and.
Yep.
And that sort of echoes back to my conversation is that really what you want to do? Are you willing to clean a toilet? Are you willing to...
Right. Well, being an entrepreneur, like that's what it's really all about, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, and I think a lot of people don't take that into consideration.
My
very
favorite,
often.
my favorite saying is entrepreneurs work 80 hours a week to avoid working 40.
It's so true. That's
yeah.
such a good statement.
That's a tattoo or a t-shirt
Yeah,
or
exactly.
something.
Yeah.
Tattoo. You
Get
should
that on
get
my
that tattooed
chest.
on your ass, right?
Yeah, on my ass. Thanks.
Somebody will see it.
But yeah, no, exactly. And
a lot of people would probably.
so now,
It's wild up there in Northern California.
Oh, you have no idea.
Yep. It makes me think. So now you've expanded though. You have more staff now. It's not just
So
you.
there's 17 of us now.
Wow.
So start making money, start hiring people.
Totally.
And then don't make any more money.
Yeah.
And then you're like,
start
where'd
making
my
money.
money go?
Yeah, where'd the money go? And that's the other thing too. We were sort of under the illusion that you start a distillery and open your door and it's just going to be hand over fist.
Yeah.
It doesn't work
It's
like
gonna
that.
rain money all day.
Especially in Colorado, we are per capita. We have more distilleries craft distilleries in any other state.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah, we have 62.
Just gotta look at the app.
62 paid members on the Distillers Guild.
Right.
Interesting. Okay.
And there's, I believe, over 70, and there's 5 million people in Colorado. So there's a math equation in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
don't
I'm
ask
just
me.
going off
Ugh.
what someone told me. So that may or may not be true, but I've heard it from a couple different people. So the competition level, even out of the gate, you know, you've got some really heavy hitters here. You've got Leopold Brothers.
Yeah.
You've got Stranahan's. Al Laws is 4 blocks down the street.
Uh-huh.
You know, you've got some. So if you're going to come out and elbow yourself some room, you better be damn good.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, like you gotta come to play. You're not. Don't just show up. Like
so, I mean, especially if you're going to make whiskey too. You know, if you're going to make.
we were talking about that the other night.
If you're
There's
going to
so
make
many whiskey
whiskey
makers,
which is you got to be good at it, and it has to be a good product, and it has to be in a good package, and you have to have great social media, and you have to have a great sales team, and you have to have amazing bar staff.
Right.
And we have all of that.
yeah.
And you know, I have to give kudos to my business partner Gibo, who has amazing macro vision. Right, like he's able to pull, like his plans for 5 years from now are already made.
Okay.
My plans for yesterday, tomorrow, I'm gonna have to check my day timer and then write some things down. You know, so we all have
Totally.
very focused skill sets, and thank God for him because he's been able to, you know, I mean, we work as a team, but he's like the captain of the team,
Right.
For sure.
and he's been able to pull in some amazing folks. You know, Evan, who heads up our sales team, you know, and I did sales for a while. I was pretty good at it, but you know, I still dabble.
You did
But
dabble in sales.
I had a lot of other things that I needed to pay attention to as well. So we brought Evan on board, and he's just kicked some serious ass for us.
Cool.
And then we have 2 other dedicated guys behind him, James and Jeff, who are just killing it. And without a team of people who buy into what you're doing, you might as well just shut the door. You know?
Oh, very true.
I think we've lost 2 employees. One moved and one's just not here anymore. But, you know, they live the brand.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
And they're all about, you know, but we treat them well and they make good money. So, you know, you treat your team well and they're going to play hard for you.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just a lot of moving parts that I feel like a lot of people, and we didn't in the beginning, you know.
You don't think about it. You don't consider.
You don't. And there's just, you have to be able to roll with the punches and adjust
Yeah.
because it's a constantly changing climate.
Wow. It's a lot of insight for those of you who are trying to start a distillery.
Yeah.
It was funny looking at the stats at the ADI, at like the keynote of how many growing DSPs and distilleries there are. And so DSPs don't necessarily mean distillery. We did podcasts with Eric and Bill, and Eric was saying there's actually 1,500 like brick and mortar distilleries in the U.S., but there's 2,090,950 or something like actual DSPs.
Yeah.
So people are just rectifying or, you know, bottling.
Right.
But a lot of those people with the DSP, you have your building, you have your DSP, and you just might never be able to get the doors open.
Oh yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, but back to that, it's like we haven't seen the numbers yet on who's going to sink or swim, and that's going to be really interesting in the next couple of years of who's going to make it back. I was talking with a gentleman last night at the Mile High, party at Mile High Distilling, and he's like, yeah, it's always fun. I get to sit down at some of these tables and get to teach. I'm like, oh, were you part of a breakout session? He's like, no, I get to tell all these new young bucks who are trying to open a distillery how hard it is and what it's all about. And are you ready?
Dude from Akron, right?
Yeah.
They're the distiller from that place. Yeah.
Well, and some of the advice I might give people, if you're going to open a distillery, do it somewhere where there's not 100 distilleries.
Right.
Go to Nebraska, go to Akron, go to...
Or go to outside of a major city where there's already so many. At least...
Even in Colorado...
Put a little space between yourself and every other one, maybe.
You even the mountain towns have their own distilleries.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
We just heard about one the other day for that map.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's in Hugo, Colorado, in the middle of nowhere. It was just what?
That guy's actually kind of cool.
No, they were telling us.
It's
he's a one-man show
connected to the back of a store.
Yeah.
And you have to go in and ask to go to the distillery, and it's like out back.
Yeah.
It's like
kinda
it's like a
creepy.
speakeasy.
Kind of,
That's
yeah.
cool. You
So
gotta
I
know
was
the
actually
special
part
knob.
of the on the committee for the Colorado Spirits Trail.
Oh,
so
were
I helped
you?
launch
Yeah,
that.
I
And
love that. It's so cool.
it's difficult to rein in that many folks and get them focused on one project, but
It's like herding
the,
cats, I'm sure.
the Bourbon Trail, they brought in, I think, over $1 billion worth of revenue to the state.
Wow.
Really? I've never even heard of the Bourbon Trail.
In
Kentucky Bourbon Trail.
Yeah, Kentucky Bourbon
Oh,
Trail.
okay. I was like, not here. Okay.
No.
Got it.
Ours is a spirits trail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Kentucky,
Yeah.
bourbon, got it. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's really cool. That's really cool. So, all right. Going back to what you guys produce. So, what is your lineup, and then what's maybe in the future?
Well, our standard 10,
Okay.
we do 2 vodkas.
Okay.
We have dedicated mash bill vodkas. We have 100% wheat vodka and 100% rye. Most mass-produced vodkas are a grain blend, typically wheat, rye, and millet,
Okay.
or wheat, rye, and corn.
Okay.
Of course, you've got your Tito's, which is corn, and then a question we hear a lot at tastings is, isn't vodka made out of potatoes?
Right.
We don't do a potato vodka. It takes 14 pounds of potatoes to produce 1 bottle of vodka.
Damn.
Are you kidding me?
That's a lot of fucking potatoes.
Yeah, it's a lot of fucking potatoes.
Yeah.
That's so many French fries.
Yeah. Is there?
Those
Poor French
I'm like,
fries.
bummer.
It sounds delicious.
yeah. Yum, yum, yum,
I'd rather
yum,
have
yum.
the French fries
Yeah.
than drink wheat vodka.
And like,
True that.
could you locally source potatoes around in here?
Well,
We are close
Woody
to
Creek
Idaho.
does.
No way.
They have their own farm. that
Okay.
produces
Oh, no
potatoes.
way.
Oh, I'll have to check in with that.
And
That's
if
cool.
you've ever been up there, there's just a shitload of potatoes up there at their distillery. But their vodka's amazing.
Yeah.
Is it? I bet.
It's really good.
Wow.
They're another. I mean, I probably should have thrown them in the heavy hitter category that I mentioned earlier.
Okay.
Because they produce a lot of juice up there.
Cool.
And then we never started out to be a rum distillery, but we've got 3 rums in the lineup.
Wow.
Our silver rum is our base. We get our sugar cane from South America. It's been Paraguay, it's been Brazil. But that South American sugar is a little bit drier and not as sweet as like a Caribbean rum. So our rums are not generally sweet, real crisp, bright rum.
Right.
And then our other 2 rums are just post-production or production. We do things to create different things out of that silver rum. Our spiced rum is a whole spice infusion. We don't add any syrups or extracts. So
Cool.
we're
awesome.
peeling oranges and splitting vanilla beans.
Oh, bitchin'.
That's
okay.
awesome.
Vanilla
Hence, hence all the
that.
citrus. I was like, are you guys
Yeah.
juicing? Are you guys
Well,
doing
we
a
do
cleanse?
juice all of our own juices.
Right
It's like
on
we're doing a
here.
juice cleanse
I know,
for
exactly.
after ADI.
Right.
Yeah, we have to. Right?
Yeah, right.
And so it's a 14-day infusion: orange peel, vanilla bean, black peppercorn, allspice, ginger, some nutmeg, cinnamon.
Amazing.
It's like pumpkin pie in a glass.
Awesome.
Sounds
I'm
awesome.
there.
Super good.
Yeah.
I gotta try some of that
Yeah.
later.
The that in the winter months becomes our top seller,
Okay.
which is it's good and bad. It's expensive to produce and
Right.
it's time consuming, but you got to give the people what they want.
Yeah.
And then we do an overproofed whiskey barrel aged rum. We call it our cask strength rum.
Cool.
So in the past, that has been sort of a guest barrel program. So our latest batch spent 3 years in an 80 laws 4-grain bourbon barrel.
Ooh.
Since the proximity to them, they roll a barrel down to us and it's still like wet. So
that's
we
so
fill it with
rad.
120 proof rum, let it set, fish out the charcoal chunks, and put it in the bottle. 126 proof on that last batch.
Right on.
Yeah. And
Okay.
then
I like that.
after that, that'll
Brian's
warm
like,
you up.
cool.
No, there's something about I like high proof rums. There's something about them. They're just fun. I mean, fun to play with, fun to mix. I used to manage bars, so I like big into cocktails. That's how I got into this whole craft distilling movement, and it's a long story. But anyway, continue.
So from there, we moved into our matured products. So we do a single barrel, 100% wheat whiskey.
Okay.
We are pretty proud of the fact that we are pretty much one of the few distilleries in the entire country that does 100% wheat whiskey. A lot of people, when we first came out with that, were not on board,
Yeah.
but it's really tracking well for us, and people once we got some more time behind the hooch in the barrel, really started to like that.
Yeah.
And I personally, that's the one I drink
Mm-hmm.
when I'm drinking our whiskey. When someone comes up to our tasting table and says, well, I normally drink Scotch, or I normally drink Irish whiskey, you're like, well, here you go.
Mm-hmm.
This is the closest I can do.
Interesting.
That's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then our top seller is our 100% rye whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
That spends 2 years in a 30-gallon barrel. And the wheat spends 2 years in a 30-gallon barrel as well. Nice cherry fig finish. Got some decent spice, not overly spicy.
Okay.
And then we bottled our white whiskey as well.
Okay.
And a lot of these things we started out just within the tasting room
Mm-hmm.
without really
Yeah.
moving them into the marketplace. And then people are...
And that's also cool too, because then it's tasting room only exclusive, so you have to see this
Right.
spot to get the bottle or whatever. And
True.
That's, yeah.
And then
That makes something
they've
more
all
special.
made it to the marketplace though, because people will eventually call and be like, I had a customer that was in your tasting room and they want me to bring in your white whiskey. And you're like, okay, so
What a great way to kind of test
Yeah.
stuff out though, and
Yeah.
just kind of experiment before you do mass produce. That's fantastic.
Well, and that's how our spiced rum. I mean, we made some spiced rum. I think Debo was infusing it literally like 6 bottles at a time,
Oh wow.
and now they do like 100
bottles.
100-gallon infusions.
Okay.
But people were like, I want to buy this, and since it was an infusion, we didn't have to have a label for it.
Right.
So we created a label and put it out in the marketplace, and it's been rocking and rolling ever since then. And then same sort of thing happened with our white whiskey. So our white whiskey is the same mash as our bourbon mash. So essentially it's this unaged.
Okay.
And it's most white whiskey or moonshine, depending on how it's labeled, is either all corn liquor or sugar.
Right.
Oh.
So that corn, rye, and malted barley just gives it a nice depth of flavor that you don't typically find.
Mm-hmm.
And I have stores that I sell 2 cases a month out of that. Or,
That's-
and then I also have stores that those same 2 cases sit on the shelf. You get dedicated couple buyers there.
People that
Right.
That go through
really
it.
dig it totally.
Yeah,
It's bitchin'.
and it's a really versatile. You can put it in a mule. You can make any tequila drink with it. It's a nice substitute for that. And then what we always set out to make are 2 bourbons. So
Okay.
the flagships, and I kind of described those earlier.
Yeah.
So we've
Okay.
got 10 dedicated in the lineup.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
try to do 2 seasonal releases.
Okay.
Last year, we did for 2 years, we did a collaboration with Great Divide.
Okay.
Awesome.
And they gave us Yeti Imperial Stout barrels, and we put rye whiskey in it, and we created a product called Yeti Whiskey.
Okay.
And we would sell out of that in days.
That's
It
cool.
was an
That's
amazing
awesome.
whiskey, and unfortunately, we won't be able to do that again. Great Divide has a contract with the folks that own Jameson to do Caskmates.
Oh.
And so
Bummer.
they saw how well that was selling, and they're like, you guys can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
So
That sucks.
unfortunately, it was a great relationship, and if it were ever available for us to do again, we'd jump at the opportunity.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then the other specialty finish that we did last year, we did with Pearl Wine Company, which is a local wine shop. It's about 4 blocks away from here. Good friends with Dustin over there, and he used to work for Mondati. And he approached me and he was like, dude, I've got a couple barrels. You want to put some whiskey in them? And that's how a lot of things in this business happen. You know a guy.
And he's just like, hey, why don't
Absolutely.
you try this?
And
Yeah.
we, our backgrounds are such that we're not beholden to any distilling style, or
Right.
mostly because we didn't come from any.
Right.
Right.
So
Right, exactly, yeah.
We'll do things to try it because probably we don't know better, but at this point, certainly we do, and we have an idea what we want to do. But we put a rye whiskey in a Petite Syrah barrel, and so it was from Animo Vineyards, which
Okay.
is in your neck of the woods.
Mhm.
So you get spicy, battling spicy, and
Yeah.
it
That's
sort of muted
interesting.
both flavors, and it was, in my opinion, the best product we've ever put out.
Wow.
That's amazing. I've never heard of that.
Well,
I've never heard
yeah.
of somebody just did like
I mean, there's some whiskeys I know, like port casks, usually port wine barrels, things like that.
Okay.
But Petite Syrah, that's a big wine.
It
And
is.
so
Yeah.
that's really cool to see that. Wow.
That
And
must
we
have been
only
awesome.
went
to see
about 4 months on that, and a lot of wine and sherry and port barrel finished whiskeys that I've tried they'll go a year,
Mm-hmm.
18 months.
Mm-hmm.
And in my opinion, a lot of those whiskeys are just overtaken with that,
Mm-hmm.
by the wine.
Mhm.
So we went sort of a shorter time, and so you just got this kiss,
Mhm.
a nice kiss of wine at the end.
Okay.
And it was great.
Wow.
So this year we're doing, we got 8 used barrels from Odell Brewing Company in Fort
Okay.
Collins.
Nice.
So we're gonna do a beer barrel finish with that, and then we're planning on doing another wine barrel finish.
Okay.
So what we like to do is we always released our Yeti around the 4th of July weekend,
Okay.
and then push another release around Thanksgiving, just
Mhm.
getting ramped up for the holidays.
Yeah.
So we still have a little bit of time for that Thanksgiving release, or maybe even for Father's Day next year. So we try to do 2 a year.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then we've actually got some gold rum laid down. So we'll have, for never starting out to be a rum distillery, we'll have four rums made here.
I was gonna
Okay.
put some like palm trees out front.
Tiki,
you know?
we're gonna
Yeah.
tiki the
Get a
shit
tiki
out
bar
of
out
this
front.
place.
Yeah.
Nice bitchin'. That's a good idea. Cool. All right. Well, no, the seasonal release is, I think, that's awesome. I mean, if you look at beers and breweries, they do that as well. They do their like once yearly release. The big thing in Northern California is Russian River Brewery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do the Pliny the Younger, and it's literally like people are camping out on the street for that. And they make national news. I mean, they're on the cover of Wall Street Journal for like best business model, like high demand, limited release, and I think that's the way.
Like the
So is Pliny the Elder
exclusive.
and Pliny the Younger,
Mhm.
is Pliny the Elder like a always release, and then the Younger
Yeah.
is just a
Pliny the Elder's,
the
yeah,
special-
everywhere, yeah, and then Pliny the Younger you can get, and it's just
But
a
I've had the Elder.
double
Yeah.
IPA, I believe. I've never had
I
the
can't
opportunity to
believe
have
you've
it.
never had it.
I know, and it's apparently a few restaurants in the city or bars in the city get a keg or 2 kegs, and that's always like sells out, and it's always like one of those things that's crazy. But anyway, limited release is rad.
It is.
Yeah,
Well,
it is.
Stranahan's down the road.
Mm-hmm.
They do a release, and I want to say it's even in the wintertime. And they have people that camp
Yeah.
out there.
See. Okay.
We've never had people camping out. We've certainly had
Yet.
a line.
Yet.
Yes.
We throw those those
Right.
palm trees out
I'm
there.
telling you, dude. I'm telling
All
you.
right, I might have to have a consultation with Katey over here.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, she's local, man. Just hit her up. So I gotta ask this for my business partner because we are in a heated debate. RTDs, and for the listeners, RTDs means ready to drink. Are you guys thinking about doing anything?
No.
No. Why?
Well, if you're looking at ready to drinks, there's lots of different things to think about.
Okay. So, and also to explain to the viewers, listeners, ready to drinks are usually like canned cocktails, so like gin and tonics in a can or something like that, bottle cocktails. So it's interesting to see how the market's going. But continue. Sorry,
Well,
Jay.
so for us, as far as the ready to drink, we certainly looked at it, and we've been approached several different times. Our product's too expensive to put in a ready to drink cocktail, and I don't want to. I'm certainly not trying to sound conceited at all.
No. Yeah.
But in order to make something cost effective, your cost of goods have to be low.
Right.
And what it costs for us to make a clear spirit, generally, which goes into a ready to drink, you're looking at.
Yeah.
Although
The overhead's crazy.
it's crazy. I mean, you look at a 4-pack of seltzer,
Mhm.
they're getting $9 to $11 for a 4-pack,
Yeah.
and Moscow Mule's a 4-pack, and but even to make that cost effective, essentially what you're doing is you're buying totes of neutral grain spirits.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what
That's-
neutral grain spirits are, they're spirits produced by huge distilleries.
GNS. Yeah.
GNS,
BSG.
you can buy a tote of 500 gallons for $300.
And so it's just like a base.
It's a
Yeah.
it's a base.
It's not craft.
Right.
No, it comes from
It is
giant
decidedly not craft.
It is decidedly
giant stills
not
that
craft.
never turn off.
Yeah.
And it's just churning out.
Right, and that's sort of, that's another rabbit hole we can go down, because there's
Yeah.
a lot of distilleries that are starting that are buying neutral grain spirits and
were talking
buying
about
other
that.
people's whiskey barrels.
Yeah, we were talking about that last night.
Let's dive in that rabbit hole because it's really.
He's like, I love rabbits.
Well,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's almost
Yeah, no.
Easter.
Wait, where's my swell? See, there it is.
Yeah.
There it is. It's yeah. Yeah, just like Alice in Wonderland. I'm about it. So GNS and BSG and all that. It is sometimes I got into an interesting discussion with a gentleman at ADI a few years ago, and he's like, you can't survive unless you do that, because say you want to make whiskey, it takes years to push something to market, so you have to do something. And say your still is only designed to make whiskey, like what do? Do you do moonshine, or do you buy some, GNS and then rectify it in your own way, or flavor it and push that to market so you can start generating revenue? Or you could do it the real way and ferment your own grain, make your own vodka in-house, and have, plan to do buy a still that's more universal for different spirits, and, go that route.
Yeah.
But why haven't you done that? And I'd like to know your opinion as to.
Well, and that's one of the reasons we didn't do the ready to drink, because, we've said from the very beginning that we were going to be craft and do everything from start to finish. We waited 2 years before we released any whiskey. It doesn't help that some of the most successful business models, if you look at craft distilling, they never made their own spirits.
For real?
I don't want to be the one to point out who they are,
but yeah, that's just crazy to me.
A lot, in Colorado, we are pretty lucky. Mm-hmm. We're seeing a lot more people that are buying other people's spirits, but from the majority of the main guys in the state, we make our own stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
But okay. High West never made any of their own booze, and they sold for $183 million.
Holy crap. And they never made any of their own booze.
If you look at like some of the most collectible whiskey bottles, they're all made in Indiana and labeled with private labels.
Shut up.
Yeah.
And so it's created this sort of phantom market, in my opinion.
Exactly.
So I would argue that with the gentleman that you spoke to that said that you can't make it otherwise, I feel like we're an example of people that are. I hoped we'd be further along than we are in year 5, but we're doing fine. And
well, and I guess it depends on your definition of making it also, right?
Yeah.
True. We're relatively happy with where we are at in the state. We're in 400 accounts.
Yeah.
We've been able to provide an income and a living for 17 people.
Sure, and you're like making stuff that you like are like stoked on, and like you're pouring your like heart and soul into, and you're really proud of. And I think that is a way bigger payoff than.
True.
You know what I mean?
And our sales guys, sometimes I feel sorry for them until I see how much money they're making. But, they're not able to walk into a store and say, if you buy 30 cases of whiskey, we'll give you 10 cases of vodka for free.
Sure.
Our standard discount is, you buy X amount and we'll give you a certain discount.
100%.
Whereas if you have a never-ending supply of whiskey that you purchased, you can come in and say, all right, this bottle of bourbon, I'll sell it to you for $25.
Right.
And we've structured ourselves now at a point that we can compete with some of those price points, but it's a different business model,
Totally.
To say that there's a division between true distillers and rectifiers would be a fair statement.
Right.
But at the same time, I think that there's enough room for all of us.
Yeah.
But just don't come at me with your $70 fucking bottle of whiskey from Indiana. Mm-hmm. And then when I try to sell you my $45 bottle of whiskey, you tell me it's too expensive.
Right.
True.
Because I know what it costs to make that whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And we run into that. The marketplace is changing where people are educated, but when you get these guys anybody that identifies themselves as a snob or a nerd or, a beer geek, all right, cool. Right. My thing is, most people would be really disappointed if they looked at what I drink. So I don't generally tell them, but drink what you like,
Yeah. No, definitely.
And price doesn't guarantee quality.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, well, that's 100% true.
Yeah.
And that's also the hard thing is, craft doesn't necessarily mean better or best,
There's some gross craft shit out there.
Yeah, and it's tough because I want to support them.
Yep.
You want
try harder,
Yeah.
keep going.
Yeah, keep working on that.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, it's that's the hard part. That's also the other challenge, I think, when it comes to sales. But well, that's really cool. Wow.
And I mean, I've even in Colorado, I've seen people even switch up their business model for preservation's sake.
Uh-huh.
And be like, all right, well, here's my craft brand, and then here's my brand that I'm going to sell cases and cases of.
Right.
I get it. I mean,
this is my baby. You can have this stuff, dude.
Yep.
Sell out stuff, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But and this is the thing that I am super stoked on, and I'm gonna do regardless.
Mm-hmm.
And we have some pretty specific environmental features in Colorado. We're a mile high.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like we talked earlier, it's dry as
shit.
Yeah. Here. But we have some fluctuation. It's cold, it's hot.
Especially this winter.
Yeah,
this winter's been.
lips. My lips are so.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Sorry.
He's just like, oh, it sucks.
I know.
Colorado, you either have chapstick or Carmex in your pocket,
Exactly.
or we know you're not from
year
here.
round all the time.
Oh no, I packed it. I knew.
And if you're wearing flip flops in March, we're like, you're from here.
Yeah.
So my thing is, I've seen a lot of people that are like, oh, we're gonna buy whiskey, and then we're gonna release that whiskey, and then we'll just make our own, and then we'll blend, and we'll eventually have our own whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great. Can you do that? I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're buying whiskey that's made in Kentucky or Indiana or someplace that has totally different environmental features than Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to get a customer base built on a
that,
certain flavor
predicated on
profile.
that. Yeah, you're totally right.
And then you come at them with, Colorado whiskeys mature quick.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be careful when you pull them because they can be harsh and over oaked here.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about things like that.
We
In
get
fact,
flavors
that's
at 2
interesting.
years here that they take 6 or 8 years to get in other parts of the country.
Wow, I did not even think about that.
So I think that's a slippery slope if you are going to count on the fact that you're going to be able to replicate that flavor to an existing customer base. And everybody that I've seen try it always ends up just buying more whiskey because they make money and a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's a business model.
Yeah.
That's just not the way we went.
Wow. That's very that's very good to hear. I mean,
Brian's
it's
like,
really
makes
tough.
me smile.
It does. It does. It's very enlightening, but also very true. Cool. So for those of you who are also wondering why it might be noisy in the background, Bear Creek is hosting. So we just came out of the ADI conference. Just to kind of touch base on that, it was hosted here in Denver, and Bear Creek is hosting the what is it? The rum workshop.
It's a rum workshop.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
So
a breakout session.
Cool. So there's a bunch of people downstairs, and hence why it's a little noisy.
We're a working distillery.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Turns out they actually make spirits here.
Exactly. It's crazy. That's wild.
I had no idea before we got here
No,
that that's what they did.
That's
Yeah,
usually
we
the
do.
norm.
Got it.
That's
Got it,
usually
got
the
it.
norm for most of these podcasts. There's
Cool.
always like fans going. We're in the Rick house, and it's like okay,
Just, like, yelling
the
over them.
humidifier kicks on something.
Last podcast I did, I was the only one here, and the produce got delivered.
Yeah.
The UPS guy came in.
Yep.
I was like, sorry, folks, actual
Yeah.
working
Someone
distillery
crashed their
here.
car outside.
Absolutely.
There's fire
Yeah.
trucks.
Yeah,
It's like super fun.
it's the
Funny
best.
you say that because that does happen a lot.
Does it?
Well,
Along the street?
check out the rug shop on Broadway. Someone smashed into that.
Oh, bummer.
Is that a thing? Okay, so I'm from here too.
Yeah.
I do not remember, at least as a youth, seeing the sheer amount of people driving vehicles into businesses or buildings.
Yeah. The Hornet down the
Since I-
street has been driven into 3 times.
Like 3 or 4 different times, and it's just like, how does that continue to happen?
They're like, we got
Well,
another car.
I think
we got another car. In the
we
house.
talked about the vices earlier. I think that might have something to do with it.
Fair point.
That we have, honestly, we have a lot more people that have moved
my
to Denver
God, yeah.
in the last 10 years. And driving in the snow is a learned behavior. And if you've done it your whole life, it's not a big deal.
But the ironic thing is there's so many people who moved here from the Midwest where it snows so much more.
Yeah.
And then they move here and it's like, oh, I just completely forgot everything
Yeah.
I've known about driving my entire life.
Right. Well, and when you go back to the Midwest too, you see fucking hoopty Chevys from the mid '80s that are rear-wheel drive that are
Yeah, I was
going
gonna say-
85 down the highway.
They're they're terrible.
And then you come out here and I think when you move here, like they give you a craft beer and a Subaru, right?
Yeah.
I have a Subaru, okay?
I own a Subaru.
Okay.
Yeah, right?
I was like, don't talk shit about my Subaru.
No, I grew up driving Subarus. 2 of my daughters drive Subarus because they're the safest cars out
He's
there.
like, we're a Subaru family.
Hey Subaru, hit me up.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Still looking for that sponsorship.
Subaru,
Thank you.
yeah, exactly. We're going to do a road trip across the nation. Mic down.
Katey down.
Katie's off. Well, that's Denver's awesome. Have you lived here your whole life?
So I moved here when I was 5 from New Orleans.
Okay.
So I've been here
Oh,
42
from New
years.
Orleans?
Yeah.
Do you go back there very often?
New Orleans.
New Orleans is a great place to visit.
Oh, no, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to live there, but...
So after Katrina,
Mm-hmm.
every relative I had moved to either Dallas or Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't know if you've ever been to Houston. It's like, why didn't you just move up here to Colorado? But
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, on purpose? Is that
Yeah.
why you're there? That's weird. Yeah.
So, but the cool thing about Katrina,
Right.
those don't go
He's
together.
like, I
those
almost
words.
said that out loud.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
I guess the silver lining to what happened with Katrina is New Orleans has been completely revitalized.
Oh,
And
sure. It's like a renaissance down there.
When
It's
you had this
amazing.
huge infusion of young people that moved there that were not okay with the status quo for decades of corruption, and so you have like this vibrant, active community down there that has done a lot to really rebuild New Orleans, and I owe it to myself probably to bring my daughters down there.
Yeah.
To kind of show them where I came from, you
Yeah.
know, and where their grandparents grew up and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But yeah, I've been here 42 years. So I'd say born in, I'd consider myself
A native.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think you get that stamp.
Definitely. No.
For sure, dude.
Well, I mean, you can.
I used
bring-
to ski when you didn't have to pay $150 for a
Yeah,
lift ticket.
we used to go skiing in like elementary school.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
take
you-
you on day trips and
Did
stuff.
you ever do Eskimo Club?
Oh my god, all the time.
So
Like
that could-
Fridays, you would go skiing instead of going to school.
That's
this
awesome.
would never happen in today's climate, but literally, your parents would drive you, drop you off with strangers, have them let you go skiing all day, and then pick you up at like 6 at night.
That's awesome.
Yeah, with complete and total strangers.
Yeah, and it costs like $20.
And they'd be like, bye. Yeah, it was like $20.
You know what? Kobe was telling me about that.
Yeah.
His partner, he lives in Montana. So I'm in Northern California. Kobe, he's in Montana, and he tells me about that. He does that with his kids.
Ugh.
And his wife runs dogs, so they have a dog sled team. And
Shut up. Are you kidding?
Oh no, it's rad. Brandy's his wife's rad.
Ah, that's awesome.
But shout out to Brandy. Yeah.
What up, Brandy?
But no, they do the same thing with their kids, and then they go.
Oh,
She goes
so
runs
cool.
dogs. The kids go ski. He goes and does his thing.
Do your
drinks
girls
whiskey,
ski?
probably.
Or
You know,
snowboard?
they all learned how to snowboard. But
Right
I know
on.
it sounds crazy. Like
Right on. All
people
right.
ask, like, "Oh, so do you ski or snowboard?" It's
I
a
don't anymore.
fucking nightmare to get up there to
That's
do
what I
it.
tell everybody because when I moved back, I only moved back here like almost 2 years ago.
Mhm.
People are like, "Oh, you must be so stoked because you're gonna go get to ski again," and I'm like, "Oh no, I'm not doing that.
No.
I'm not going to the mountains with 10,000 other people
is it that
every.
crazy?
Fucking, oh my god.
So, okay, from where I grew up to Loveland Ski Area, which is at the Eisenhower Tunnel, used to be a 35-minute trip, and the lift ticket was $20.
$20.
Wow.
Now, on a Saturday, from here to Loveland would take you 3 hours,
Three or 4 hours.
and it's a $100 ticket.
Right.
if you're lucky.
And that's the closest resort. If you're going all the way to Vail on a Saturday, you better leave at 6, and you better leave Vail at 2, or
Right.
you're not getting home till 10 o'clock.
Yeah, or like
Yeah.
anywhere in Summit County, like Breck and all that stuff. That's a 3 to 5 hour drive there.
Yep.
It's unbelievably expensive, and then you're also skiing with a million other people.
Yeah.
Wow.
You
And
stay
how
in the
much
line all
how
day.
much fun to me? I'm like, I don't want to be on a ski hill with a million people. That's not fun.
The only
Yeah.
way to do it
Even on the
is
week, it's like a little.
Mid-
I mean,
midweek.
midweek, like Wednesday morning.
Okay.
midweek is okay.
Okay.
As
Go
long
get
as
a
it's
few
not
runs in
like
and then leave.
around Thanksgiving, Christmas, or spring break. So
Okay.
so you're talking like there's 2 weeks a year you can ski if you're a local.
Right.
You know.
It's true.
Or if you have the means, if you have like a second home or a condo
Or a helicopter.
or a helicopter,
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes
Definitely.
sense.
Just flapping, just flying.
But I mean, like then we have like this past season, we've had an unbelievably active avalanche season this year.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Like in the first week of March alone, there was over 300 avalanches.
Wow.
So, and it's mostly because, actually, it's probably not mostly because, but I'm sure it's not helped by the fact that, like, there's just, like, a million more people on the mountain all the time.
Yeah.
Disturbing stuff.
That we had that cyclone bomb
Yeah.
that came through.
No, I mean, the polar vortex. Yeah, that's wild. I mean, so California has gotten an unbelievable amount of rain and snow. And
I
North
noticed
Star,
that,
shout out to North Star. You can help fund some stuff too. No, they're staying open
Subaru,
too. Exactly.
North Star.
Come on, yeah. North Star, Tahoe, just Tahoe in general. No, North Star is open until they already announced they're going to be staying open till July.
Yep.
It's
Yeah,
gonna
so
be
a couple
awesome.
places here. I think A Basin already said they were opening
So
A
much
Basin,
snow.
that's like the thing, is to go ski the 4th of July at A Basin.
Yeah.
in your bathing suit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Actually, well,
Sunblock. We're close to the sun up here.
Oh, yeah, you are.
That's rad.
They're like, you shouldn't live here. And I'm like, not fair.
I'm
I'm gonna, but okay.
Fair.
I try to take the girls once a year.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, but I mean, my youngest daughter she's an elite hockey player. So our winters
Oh,
are
they
pretty
play
much.
hockey?
My youngest does, yeah.
That's awesome. I love that.
She's a killer.
That's fine.
She's really good. So that's what we do most of the winter. And then most of the summers I'm at whiskey festivals. So
Sure.
Awesome. So what's your next whiskey festival?
Yeah.
coming up, so actually this Sunday I'm doing it's called Bikes and Bloodies with High Ride Cycle over in Sloan's Lake.
I live in Sloan's Lake.
Oh, do you?
I'm gonna come by and check it out.
Yeah. So
Totally.
they we're gonna be doing a giveaway with Real Deal Bloody Mary mix.
I fucking love that.
I
stuff.
could just open a jar.
You
and
could,
just drink it right out
I
of
want
the
to
jar.
all the time.
Real Deal?
It's
Real
a
Deal.
pickle place. They literally make pickles, and they were like sitting around and they're like, "What are we gonna do with all this brine?"
Yep.
So they make Bloody Mary mix, and it's fucking awesome.
That
so
is.
good.
What up, Justin and Tyler over at Real Deal?
Yes.
So I'm doing that. Our next, as I mentioned, I was part of the Colorado Spirits Trail committee.
Yeah.
We do a launch party that's May 17th or 18th. The guild members are going to yell at me because I don't remember. But I'm
gonna come to that too.
It's a launch party for this year's trail.
Cool.
And so last year what we did, the first 20 finishers each got a bottle of booze from every distillery on.
That's what was his name? Bob, Eric?
Yeah, Bob.
Some other dude name?
And was it Michelle?
Michelle.
Michelle and Bob.
Michelle
Yeah.
Medenbauer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Bob, they were at the Colorado Spirits opening.
The opening happy hour.
Yeah.
It was
I was
awesome.
there.
You're right. You were there briefly because I saw him like, oh, there's Bear Creek. Got to go say hey. And then I got distracted. I went over there and I said hey to Jeff, and you weren't there.
Yeah,
Until
I
that.
was. So I had to do a radio interview downstairs.
Oh,
So I
right
ran
on.
down there and then came back up. So I was there off and
Okay.
on.
It was cool what they were saying though, because he was saying that like that used to be a thing, right? That they if you
Spirits Trail.
We didn't think. I mean, it's all over the state, and
Yeah.
we didn't think that
anyone would do it.
that anybody would have time to get it done. And like 7 people finished it in the first week or something.
In
stupid
a
like
week?
that. Yeah.
No
So
way.
they went to go see your buddy out in Hugo, and then went down to Durango. I mean, it was
so awesome.
a huge trek. And this year, what we're doing, so at this launch party, we have 62 distilleries that are going to be there, and it's unlimited tastings. So it's kind of a shit show at the end.
You said May 17th?
Yeah, I'll get you a ticket if
Oh,
you
I
need.
totally want to come.
62 distilleries.
62
Holy
on the
shit,
guild
that's
signed
amazing.
up are going to be at the event. It's at oh my goodness. Oh, it's at the McNichols building, which is
Oh yeah,
down
like
near
right
Civic
downtown.
Center.
Yeah.
Great building. We'll have food, music, and the way we're doing the contest this year is if you go visit 10 distilleries, which you could do locally here in Denver,
Easy, yeah.
you get a T-shirt. And so 2 people a month that finish the trail get entered into. They actually, it's 1 person a month. They win the prize of, I believe it's 20 bottles.
Okay.
God, that
So
is so
rather than
awesome.
having a race to do it,
Yeah.
and having it over to sort of keep interest in the trail throughout the year and through the
sure.
summer months, it's an incentive to finish the trail.
There you go.
So
That's rad.
so that's the next big one. Whiskey and Donuts is coming up. There's my favorite, hands down, is called Stills in the Hills.
Okay.
and it's in Central City, which is an old mining town that they've legalized gambling in.
Okay.
And they shut down Main Street. Yeah, they shut down Main Street, and from 12 to 6, which a whiskey tasting event should be an hour.
Yeah,
maybe
should not
an
be
hour
6
and a half.
hours.
Yeah.
In a town that allows gambling.
Right.
Absolutely
So,
none.
It's just the greatest people watching because you get the locals that come out, you know, living in abandoned mines.
Yeah.
Certainly not.
And go to the
not
casino
to
like every
disparage
single day.
Central City, because I love you people.
I do too. Central City's amazing.
It's fun.
Right.
I like to gamble.
Well,
I'm full of vices.
are you
We've
good at it?
discussed
Because
that.
I mean, I think everybody likes to gamble. I don't know if I.
Everybody likes to win.
Yeah, of course.
I
That's the
just
fun part.
fight like this. My wife and I, we go play the penny slots. We
Oh,
bet
yeah.
like 50 cents a spin.
I'm that person. Like I'll play
I'll
like the
bring
nickel slots
60
sometimes.
bucks. And
When
when
it's
it's
gone,
gone,
it's
it's
gone.
gone.
Yep, I do
You
that
know?
too.
But if I go out to support a Bear Creek account
Sure.
and have a couple cocktails, an appetizer, and then we have dinner, that's 150 bucks.
No shit. Yeah.
So I justify it that way. But anyway, it's amazing. Like the town shuts down for the event, and then we break down. I always get a few rooms, have the team come up and make
Yeah, why
it
not?
make it a fun event.
Right.
And it's just so crazy to see these like fresh-faced people that you talk to at noon that are just totally zombified at like 8:30 at night, just
like,
wandering
huh?
around the casino. And you'll just go say hello, and they have no idea who they are, and they were like your best friend like 4
Yeah.
hours ago.
They're like, hey, I remember you, and you're like, yeah, we just met 3 hours ago, dude.
Exactly. And then
That's
another really good one
hysterical.
is not to be confused with Stills in the Hills. It's Still on the Hill.
Still on the hill. Okay.
And that's kind of an important one. It's in Breckenridge. It's put on by the Summit County Restaurant Association.
For sure.
Everybody goes.
But you gotta come back out for this stuff.
Oh,
That one's fun.
we just MicroShiner needs more funding. That's all.
Yeah,
There
he's
you
like,
go.
so.
There you go. Shout
Subaru.
out.
He's like, go to,
Subaru, come on.
go to our GoFundMe and
I know,
donate.
right?
Thank
Exactly.
you.
But that's one, like, that's sort of an event for us. You know, Friday night, it's like hanging out with your old friends. And,
Yeah.
you know, there's certainly, in any industry, there's a certain level of competition. And you always want to be, there's healthy competition, but we all realize some of the best friends I've made in the last 6 years are people in the business.
That's rad, though.
And so we just hang out, have a good time.
Like, you could totally have competition and still, like, just respect the fuck out of someone, and that's awesome.
That's
Yeah.
one thing I've noticed. There's very little like, oh no, fuck that guy. There's very little of that.
yeah, it seems very non-catty compared to a lot of other industries.
Everyone
I've
is very, very supportive of each other.
Yeah.
They work together. The guilds come together.
Well, here's the thing, right? You have a customer that's always been a Jack Daniel's fan, or you know, always buys high-end scotch and has a preconceived notion of craft. You know, like I don't drink craft because it's not very good. Worst possible thing to have happen is have that buyer try something craft and it not be a good product.
Yeah, not be good.
And then it's just
Proves
he
their
tells
point.
everyone he knows that
Yeah.
Colorado whiskey's garbage. You know, so it's in everyone's best interest to help everyone have the best product.
That's a really good point. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Because
Support
you are
craft across
all
the
you guys
board.
are kind of all representation
Yeah.
for each other a little bit.
Exactly.
Wow. No, I never thought about it that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
How it's somebody has one bad experience, they're never going back to craft again.
Well, and it's
They're
kind of like we
sticking
were
to what
saying
they know.
too. I was talking to Michelle, and we were talking about how, like, you know, there's someone who's like, oh no, I don't like bourbon because maybe they've literally only had bourbon one time, only one kind,
Exactly.
and they had a bad experience, and they'll just never, and they're like, nope, I don't like bourbon. And
That's
you're
the
like,
big
no,
thing.
you just don't. You haven't tried.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, that's the big thing with gin. A lot of people
Yes,
are just
gin is
their
so-
only
that's a
gin
good example.
experience is whatever their mom and their grandma had in their liquor cabinet, and
Yeah.
they drank it as a kid, and they're like, this is terrible. They threw up, whatever. They're never drinking gin again.
Right.
But there's
In
amazing.
sixth
gins
grade,
out
they
there.
like snuck into their grandma's liquor cabinet. and
It's
they were
true. They're like, oh, I drank a whole bottle of creamy mint. But I hear that about rum a lot. People come up
Yeah.
and they're like, I stay away from rum. And,
I
you
know,
know,
rum
it's
is
like,
so
well,
good.
you went to Jamaica and drank 4 bottles of coconut rum, okay?
Right.
Oh,
Okay,
God.
I get it.
Yeah.
You know, there's some amazing rum. I'm not even saying my own rum. But as a category, you can go buy a 25-year-old Jamaican rum for $30.
Right.
That is better than anything you've ever tasted.
Right.
I mean, if I didn't drink everything that ever made me throw up, I'd be on water right now. That'd be
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You know?
Where would we be right now?
Right.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, absolutely.
We wouldn't be micro-shining.
True that.
Right, exactly. Oh, wow.
Brian's like, I probably wouldn't even be hungover actually right now.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
You look good, though.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm perked up. Whiskey helped.
Yeah, the
There you go.
whiskey
Yeah, the
really
bourbon
did
definitely
help.
helped.
We can get more, too.
It's so good.
I mean, so I guess, damn, I had a train of thought. Okay. No, I lost it. It was good,
He's like,
though.
train left the station.
So, but no, I did want to ask. So, stuff in the future. Did we establish that? Because I switched the flip the script on
I got
RTDs.
it. So you talked about seasonal releases,
Yeah.
and so we do have the gold rum coming.
Okay.
Okay.
Any single malts in the near future?
No.
Okay. Cool.
Nope.
No, I like it. Not that I'm like the end all be all, but I'm just why?
I don't like single malts.
Okay.
I mean, strains I can drink, but they treat that more like a bourbon, you know? I find with single malts, people try to overdo it. Like
Okay.
oh, we're going to smoke our oats and, we're going to do this and do that. It's like, just let it be whiskey.
Yeah. No,
Just
that's
too extra a lot.
Yeah.
that's the thing. First off, I really like that, you make what you like. Like you're not trying to make the
I was gonna say,
the
I
best,
think that's
absinthe or something because there's a market for absinthe. And let's
Can
be
I
honest,
say something?
I love absinthe. Yeah.
Sorry.
What's up?
Like, Fernet, what the fuck? Amaro?
San Francisco, man.
Dude.
That's where it
or all
started.
of Chicago.
I know, right?
Oh my God.
Okay.
Sorry, I just had to get that out
No.
of my chest.
He's
It
like,
is-
I just
it
spit.
is
I
really
feel like-
weird. That trend was really weird. I kind of have just grown to like it because having managed bars in Sonoma County, you get a lot of that.
Yeah.
And then we get some Fernet, and then I would start carrying behind my bars like crazy Amaros, and people were like, "Let's do an
In
Amaro
Sonoma
flag."
County, that was big.
Yeah. Yeah,
Really?
Fernet, yeah, because the San Francisco Fernet craze started in
Yep.
San Francisco.
It's
Okay,
pretty
but I
big
wouldn't have
here,
guessed.
too.
I just wouldn't have. To me, I wouldn't have seen that in like wine country being a thing.
Well, I mean, just people coming up from the city. That's the thing.
I guess so,
for the
yeah.
weekends. And my bar was just very much tourist, part of
Right.
the hotel and everything. So you get a lot of that.
Interesting.
But
Okay.
It's at the same time, it goes back to drinking culture, right? Where we have aperitifs,
Yep.
and then like gin falls in that, Then you have your digestives, and that's where Amaros fall in, or nice whiskey, something after dinner, or before dinner, and so that's one thing too. It's a lot of people after dinner would just drink Amaros, and I respected
those
that.
little-
That was cool
oh,
because they would actually it's a digestive.
Right.
Just ate a steak. I want to just chill.
Is
sip
that
on
what-
some
is-
cough syrup?
Is that what? Well, I guess
Ooh, wormwood.
Right.
you get them at bars. They're in like little bottles.
Underbergs.
Dude, I love those.
Yeah, the Underbergs. Yeah.
I
That's
love
actually
them.
like the Europeans actually think it's literally medicine.
It is. It's
Yeah.
so good. Have you ever
I
had
am
it?
not familiar.
So it's
It's-
these like little bottles, and it comes in this like little wrapped paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've had them at a lot of bars. They're just like
Yeah.
What's
It's-
the base in it? Is it?
It's literally like it's just a bitter.
It's like an
like
herbal
literally
tonic.
it's like a little bottle of Angostura.
oh my god,
essentially.
it's so
okay.
good.
Well, people don't realize Angostura is 90 proof.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, definitely. That's the funniest thing. We used to joke about this in Savannah, Georgia, because you can't buy alcohol, beer, wine, liquor, anything
Sunday.
on Sundays, but you can still buy bitters. So it's like exactly, you just go in there, start just.
I'm like, oh
off
no,
the
he's not
top right off
joking.
it. Yeah.
We'd be like, what are you? Okay.
It's like, dude.
Shooting some bitters.
Exactly.
We lived the last year we were in college. Misty, his wife,
Mm-hmm.
and Brian and I all lived together. We lived like a block away from the only liquor store in town,
Yeah.
Johnny G's.
Uh-huh. Oh,
Still
yeah.
standing, still
Oh,
there.
still
I think
there.
it's still the only liquor store in town.
Oh god, but
It just changed. Well, just in
Oh, yeah,
probably
yeah.
a decade. You couldn't buy
Yeah, we used to have
beer on
ABC
Sundays.
stores, and then they just started selling like
wait, that was
like you could buy 3-2 shit in the grocery store, right?
You
Before.
could buy 3-2 beer on Sunday, but
Right.
like full
But
strength
now
beer.
now we have like
So-
all the good beer in.
okay. So
At a
what
gas
is?
station.
Yeah.
So, okay, so explain this to the listeners because I was blown away by this. I was in Safeway. I was like, I just wanted to buy some beer. He's like, dude, all you got in here is 32s, or there was a saying, and I was like, what the?
3-2 beer.
3-2
Yeah, 3-2
beer.
I was like, what the hell does that
Your
mean?
piss is clear. It's 3-2 beer. I remember I was like 7 years old, and one of my uncles told me that. I was like, I will never forget that.
Right.
You're like, I'm scarred for
Yeah.
life. Thank
so,
you.
so what does that mean?
So 3.2%
Alcohol
by volume.
Okay.
So it could be up to 3.2, but generally it was like in the high 2s.
In the high 2s, like 2.8 or something.
So whereas, let's say a typical original Coors is 5% alcohol by volume. So if you bought it in the grocery store, it couldn't be any more than 3.2% alcohol. So if your end goal is to get blackout, it's nearly impossible with 3.2 beer.
Right.
Because you get so full
you just
before you
get
ever
tired
get
of
drunk.
drinking.
Okay.
You really do.
Yeah.
It's like, man, okay.
You're like, all right,
Hang
let's
on,
crack that second 12
Yeah,
pack.
it's exhausting.
But they had clubs.
They
Were
did.
3.2 clubs. Thirsties downtown was one after the Gold Rush, and you only had to be 18 to buy 3.2 beer up until 87 probably.
Okay.
So I missed it by a couple
Yeah,
years.
I was gonna say I missed it by a lot,
But
that's
my
okay.
older sisters,
They
would buy us 3.2 beer. But sorry, Mom. And they'd have these clubs, and you just have these 18-year-olds walking around with like pitchers of 3.2 beer, just drinking out of it. It was like it's like
Trying to
something
get a
you'd
buzz
see
on.
post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
Was. But so they changed those laws to allow liquor stores to sell beer on Sundays and liquor. And then the laws have changed in the last couple of years that you could hold up to 5 liquor licenses. So you're getting some big box stores like Kroger, Costco, that are moving into selling alcohol and beer.
Okay.
And then they've just changed the law again where convenience stores can carry full strength beer as of January 1.
Okay.
So that's a
and
whole
it's
nother
everywhere
mixed bag.
now. Like, people are just balls to the wall with that shit.
Okay. Wow.
It was even funny because like when I growing up, my dad and my aunt both worked for Coors, and like until not that long ago, you could have like 3 shift beers.
Well, you know what happened is
Someone died.
No, it wasn't even. It was unlimited, and some guy.
It was not unlimited.
Oh yeah, if you go in
up.
the cafeteria,
You
they
could
have
just-
taps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So homeboy proceeded to get jacked.
Wow.
And he's leaving the plant and crashed into someone, and unfortunately, a couple people lost their lives.
Oh,
Yeah.
bummer.
And so, as a result of a multi-million-dollar lawsuit,
They were like,
we can't do it. And they actually, Coors just ended their free beer on their tour program.
oh, they did?
Yeah, you used to be able to get 2, possibly 3
Yeah.
beers at the
2
end
or
of the tour.
3. Why did they do that? That's a bummer.
I think it was possibly a liability issue.
Drink responsibly.
Because if you were somewhere and had drinks and then went to Coors and had
Fair.
3 and then something happened.
You still get beer at the end of the Miller tour in Milwaukee,
Yeah.
Wisconsin, and
Do
that's
you?
the same company. But I mean, I guess
Well,
So
that's
they're like,
interesting.
we're Midwestern. We're used to getting wasted.
Right.
It's fine.
I mean,
it's a sport.
Yeah, it is a sport.
Never drink with someone from Nebraska, Wisconsin, or Minnesota.
Oh God, no! Nebraskans
die.
can drink. They can put it down.
That's good.
I have some friends from Nebraska, and
Yeah.
they'll ask me to go out. I'll be like, I'm busy. I have to
Yeah.
shampoo the cat, or
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
something.
like, I have to like be in any kind of function tomorrow.
yeah.
so-
I have to be anywhere but with you.
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay, so back to it. Why not single malt? Because you don't like it. Got it. Okay. So anything new? Because I do see this crazy little experiment shelf behind you.
Yes.
Infusions,
Anything,
yes.
I guess if a gem comes out of there, I would never say never. In the works when we sit down and have our owners meetings, we throw some ideas around, but there's nothing concrete at this time.
Cool.
As to what we're doing. I really see a lot of worth in collaboration.
Yeah.
A lot of local collaboration. We actually we have 2 barrels that are resting. One will be resting for 1 more year, and one will be resting for 2 more years. And it's called the Colorado Whiskey Project.
Cool.
And so the first one, 4 distilleries distilled a rye whiskey.
Okay.
So it was Woody Creek out of Aspen, and then us, State 38 out of Golden,
Yeah.
We
Sean
had some of that the
Smiley,
other night.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
and then Woods High Mountain Distillery out of Salida.
Okay.
I love.
So that was the first one. That was our rye whiskey. And then the second one was a wheat whiskey, and we had some more players in that barrel. It was us, Woody Creek, Law's Whiskey House, 291 out of Colorado Springs, Woods High Mountain, and State 38. So there were 6 of us.
Okay.
And the idea is we'll each get equal amount of bottles out of each barrel.
Okay.
With the common agreement that all of those bottles will be auctioned for whatever our favorite charity is. So
that's cool.
Urban Peak, which sits directly in the middle of Law's Whiskey House and Bear Creek.
Huh.
They are it's a shelter, but it also is one of Denver's only high schools for the homeless. Oh. So they are working on an expansion. They're going to go from 2 stories to 6 stories. So hopefully we can do some good with that.
Oh, that's so rad. I have no idea. That's awesome.
That's cool.
And just to sort of get back to when I mentioned this was sort of a rough neighborhood, we had a lot of kids, disadvantaged kids and homeless come through here. And Denver has a pretty significant, nowhere near San Francisco or even LA, but
for the
pretty
size of the city, I think it's very substantial.
Substantial homeless population. And luckily we've been good to the folks around here, and in turn they've been good to us. We've never been tagged.
Mm-hmm.
Never.
No, never.
That's impressive, honestly.
And if you look out the window, we have 2 standing permission graffiti walls. So graffiti happens in this neighborhood, and we've always been decent to the folks around here.
Mm-hmm.
In turn, they've been good to us. But as what happens with any up and coming neighborhood, this neighborhood's becoming gentrified. And so these folks have been sort of pushed out of this neighborhood, or starting to get pushed out of this neighborhood. A lot more interaction with the police, whereas that they kind of left them alone. But as the police get pressured, something's going to happen, and unfortunately it falls down to the disenfranchised.
It's really a bummer.
We're going to try to do our part in the neighborhood and take care of the kids and hopefully give them a step ahead down there.
Good.
But
God, making great spirits and being a community.
We try to give back.
That's what it means to be a
No, but I love that though. That's really rad. I feel like too many people come to big and up and coming cities or whatever, and they negate everything that was there before them.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a huge mistake, in my opinion.
And just even on a macro scale, I feel like that's sort of happened in Denver.
Oh, no, 100% that's happened in Denver.
You get a lot of people that move here, and they bring their team allegiance with them. They bring their lifestyle with them.
Yeah.
They bring their attitude with them.
Mm-hmm.
And Denver's always been like this totally chill,
working class city.
Everybody, I'm sure depending on where you live, but I always viewed everyone as equals.
Yeah.
And Denver was a really cool place.
It was never a place where you were like, oh, the wealthier people who have money, they live in this part of town. And it was never like that. It felt very like...
There was restaurants that were favorites that everyone from every neighborhood would come to eat.
Wow.
100%.
And that is definitely changing. A couple examples. I'm a big hockey fan, and I get a lot of tickets to the Avalanche games. And we went to an Avalanche game. I think my daughter was playing in between periods or something like that. And we were surrounded by Philadelphia Flyers fans.
Wow.
And I don't know if you've ever met Philly fan in any capacity.
But especially hockey fans.
Yeah. They're horrible people.
They're crazy.
Like throwing beer on you, no regard for children sitting around.
Wow.
And
they're like Red Wings fans.
Yeah, that's another
Well, and they're
story.
psychotic, but
but we were at Starbucks.
Yeah.
And there was this lady just absolutely berating this poor girl because she made her coffee wrong.
At Starbucks?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she had this very pronounced East Coast accent.
Of course she did.
And my wife, who is 5'2", all of 100 pounds,
Right.
walks up there and says, "Hey, where are you from?"
Yeah.
And she goes, "I just moved here from Boston."
Of course you did.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Well, just so you know, we don't fucking treat people like that here." And the whole place just erupted in applause.
I love that.
So it seems like as Denverites, we have to really make sure that we try to keep
Denver.
At one point, which Denver was sort of devoid of culture, in my humble opinion, but
yeah, it was.
We definitely have built that. But we as Denverites need to fight to keep sort of our identity as this really cool Western city.
Where people are nice to each other and people do respect I think mutual respect has been completely lost. That's what bummer to me. Like moving back, it was like, oh, this is not the place that I left.
I still hold doors. I'll still help you push your car out of the snow.
Yeah.
I'll help you shovel your driveway.
I'll smile at you and I pass you on the street.
Yeah, I'll say hello.
Yeah.
It's like, when you're in other parts of the country and you say hello to someone, people are like, "What's your problem?"
No, in Chicago, I used to get yelled at. like I'd be coming home from the gym or from yoga
Yeah.
in the morning, and then it would be like 9 o'clock in the morning, and I would just smile at someone, and people would be like, "What are you looking at?" And you're
Yeah.
like, "I do nothing.
Good
What?
morning,
Relax."
sunshine.
I kind of learned that when I haven't really. I mean, I'm sure it's fantastic in Denver. I haven't experienced it firsthand yet. I guess.
Sure.
I mean, just been at the conference and the Airbnb essentially, but no, in Minnesota, Minneapolis, when we were there for ACSA, people are so nice there.
They are nice.
They're so nice.
People from Minnesota are great.
Yeah.
And
They can't not be. They live in Minnesota.
and it's hard because I mean I'm from California. Oh, California is like supposed to be great, chill. Everyone's just glued to their phones in their own like space, and they have their own bubble. Like the reality is, like California's pretty separated when it comes to like unity as like
community. Yeah.
It's kind of hard.
Well, it's so big.
Yeah.
It is. I think that is hard. That's the hard part about it. Is
Yeah.
that it's kind of hard.
Northern California doesn't like Southern California.
Yeah. People from like LA don't like people from the Bay. Like
If you're out in
I
the
think it's-
valley,
Right. Exactly. It's wild. Well, okay. We talked about a lot of stuff today.
We've gone-
culture. So, anything else you wanna reflect on or chat or mention, Jay, before we wrap this up?
no. If you're in the Denver area, please come visit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We like to give a customer a special experience here.
Okay.
I think our spirits are a good example of the kind of people that we are.
Excellent.
So you're just as likely to get slapped a high five by one of the owners here.
I thought you were going to
Right.
say in the face. I was like, wow, okay.
Right.
Well,
All right.
it
Well,
depends on what day, I guess. But
Right.
I haven't seen any. We've never had to kick anyone out, and we've never had a fight in here. So we like to
Hey,
foster a happy
fantastic.
place.
Yeah.
yeah, knock on wood, knock on wood, knock on wood.
All right. Well, cheers. Cheers.
Cheers.
We need to get some more bourbon. Right?
No, you guys, we're welcome to taste whatever you'd like.
Yeah.
Oh.
Let's cruise down and
Don't have to
taste some
tell
stuff.
me
Let's do it.
more than
Okay,
one time.
cool. Well, cheers. Thanks, everyone.
All right.